All praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutations to the hopeful elect that's fighting a good fight of faith and truth in sincerity and wholeheartedly. Shalom to the Akwath, which is the women believers. Shalom to you. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. As you see, talking very, very low right now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Getting ready for work, but obviously people are sleeping, so hopefully you can hear me. But so-called New Year pass, and this is one of the headlines that's happening. Iran been protesting for a few days now, so it's finally making mainstream news. But this is just the signs of the time. So it said, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when you see it's the part of the signs past, which I have told you before, then you should understand that it's the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. All right. So this is the time frame that we are in. Therefore, when you shall be seeing earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you should well understand that the Most High spoke of those things from the days that were before you, even from the beginning.
Protesters have taken to the streets of Iran's capital city as the country faces some of its worst economic pressures in years. The value of Iran's currency sunk to a record low over the weekend, and inflation has surged to an annual rate of about 42%. These are some of the largest.
Now, you want to know what's so ironic about this? Last week, Iran's president said that they basically declaring war on United States, Israel, and the European Union. And then boom, a week later, now they're going through inflation crisis. But also you have to understand too that this devil still have these nations in his back pocket. It's the Lord that's going to cause these nations to turn on him, as it say in Obadiah, as it say in Revelation 17. When you go to Revelation 17, it talks about how these nations have given their strength and mind and power unto the beast. And that's particularly dealing with the European Union. But all these nations have been in bed with America. And we are at the time where the Lord, as it say in Proverbs 21:1, that he's about to turn the hearts of the kings as the rivers of waters. All right. And they're going to turn not in favor against Babylon the Great. So also the reason that I'm even highlighting this is because what's going on in Iran is going to happen to America and everywhere. Let's get that real quick. So it says, there should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Because remember, the Lord said judgment must start at the house of the Most High first, those who know that they're Israelites. So the reason I'm reading this scripture, because the first sentence, for there should be in every place in the next cities. Remember, we call Jacob's trouble the world's trouble. So everything is circling to, us being persecuted. Everything leads to the mark of the beast. And that's why, these relevant scriptures that's been read for years, but now they're more relevant today, keep coming out. And for the believers out there, you should know these scriptures like the back of your hand, But this also supposed to boost up your faith because you see we getting closer. for they should waste to take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. All of this is going to lead, you know, that's why the chapter before it goes into this. Woe unto the world of them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. One people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Largest protests in Iran since 2022, when demonstrations broke out over the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman who died in police custody. Iranian journalist and women's rights activist Masih Alinejad joins us now. Thank you so much for being here. What has the current economic situation meant for the people of Iran?
First of all, I have to say that this is not an isolated economic protest. The main trigger was actually the collapse of the Iranian currency, the money. But at the same time, we keep hearing from protesters in the streets that the slogans go actually beyond economic crisis. They are chanting against the whole regime, entire regime. It's because the situation in Iran right now is miserable.
And also, Iran is a big player in the end times when it comes to the World War III. So just Iran being in the news is not insignificant. It's actually very significant, because most civil wars end up turning into a world war because other countries, start getting involved. But also, that Iran and Russia are very good allies. And in end time prophecy, those two nations, not just them, but those two nations gonna come together and fight against America. So just them being in the news and also showing what's going on, which are all gonna trickle down. So as the woman said, the activist, she said that basically their economy was collapsing. And we've been telling you that the world's economy have to collapse if they want to bring the mark of the beast. Because what's going to be the next form of currency? Digital.
Middle class crushed. Working class, they are even not able.
All of this is just to get them to bow down to taking a digital implant inside of them.
To buy bread. I mean, they're really suffering from poverty. And there are a small group of people, the officials, the members of Revolutionary Guards, the relative of the government. They are the one, they are the one controlling oil tankers, oil terminals, massive economic empires, and that's why people in Iran, they are suffering because of mismanagement, decades of mismanagement and corruption.
How is the government responding, and where do you see this going?
Now it's spreading, going. It's not only in Tehran; it is across Iran. People are joining the protests. The students today and women joined the protest. So the response from the government, it's obvious. They're using tear gas and violence. Even President Trump yesterday mentioned that as soon as the world hear about people of Iran taking to the streets, they hear about the regime opening fire on them and arresting the protesters. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, we see different phase that different exchange between people, the protesters, and the security forces. Like one of the very touching and moving scene, one of the protesters actually said to one of the security force that your salary is worthless. Then why are you shooting us?
And that's another thing too, because everybody is going to be going through this. So, stress is going to be at an all-time high, anger, and, these people, like the security forces, it said a man should desire to go into the city and should not be able. All of this is going to turn into martial law. And as you see, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is saving the best for last. Babylon the Great will be the last country that will be, judged. And we know what prophecy says about Mystery Babylon the Great, also known as America, the end game, which is them being on fire. All right. The land being on fire to never be inhabited again. But before that time, what you see going on in Iran is going to happen in America. And we're reading about it. It said, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, men should be afraid, men should have no pity upon his neighbor. So like the woman saying, when all hell is breaking loose, people, stress is going to be at an all-time high, and they're going to take matters into their own hands. And the security force, they will always be paid. Right now, as the woman said, like the protester said to the security man, like, why are you shooting at us? Your salary is worthless. It won't be. That's one thing that Esau and other nations will do, is always pay, force. So they're going to feel inclined while everybody else is struggling. Matter of fact, when you go down to the next chapter, remember it said that that people are going to be destroying and spoiling their houses with the sword. So it said, men shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and great tribulation. So all of this is going to trickle down to America. And this is the so-called New Year. This is January 2nd. All right. This video was yesterday, so actually January 1st. But I'm posting it January 2nd. And look how the new year's starting off. You got a major country going through crisis, financial crisis, which is uproars, which is a sign of the end. All right. So.
And they are chanting and calling the security forces to join them. So far, we don't see any of the members of security forces or the police or the army joining to the protesters, and that's why protesters are furious, because we see that pictures, people opening their arms.
Iran has ushered in the new year with some protests that are being witnessed that refuse to die down. Thousands of Iranians are out in the streets. They're marching against soaring inflation, water and power shortages. Now, this, in fact, is the fifth day.
So it's just troubles on every side. Financial, water problems. That's lack of bread. That's no security. But and you already know, peace and safety is gonna be next in Iran. Oh, if you want everything to go back to normal, this is what you're gonna have to do. A lot of people gonna have to go. You know what I mean when I say a lot of people gonna have to go. All right. So all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, man. So the end is manifest. Always say this: just because you see things going on in other countries and they haven't hit Babylon the Great, you think yourself to be in a good case, and that's not the case. All right. All of these things that's going on in Iran will come to America. All right. So stay prayed up, seek ye out Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, while he may be found, in Shalom.